Hole in a Box by C.S.R. Imagination is where I've lived. Thank you for never telling me stay out of it and letting me live with my beautiful little monsters.
Chapter 1. Accidents Happen. It had all been an accident. Those happen. Coincidence. Coincidence that she just so happened to find that little jewelry box in the boy's closet. She owed her fate encounter to being asked to collect all the other orphans' laundry. How strange that not doing such a dreary request would have stopped Marla from completely changing her life. Marla had no idea what lay ahead of this humdrum task. She made her way with her hamper into the second boys' room, room 7. She barely ever went in anyone else's room, especially of the opposite gender, since it led to consequences, but mainly because no one ever invited her. Nonetheless, she was inside her 7th room to collect laundry, and had to scour every corner of the rooms, knowing that all the other children were lazy and disorganized. It was when Marla had made her way in front of the closet that she found her strange clumsiness had kicked in. Her feet stumbled over each other, exchanging little hellos as they both tipped onto the floor, bringing the owner along with them, just to fall onto her face. Marla let out a sigh, having thrown up some laundry she held into the air to only drop upon her, after hitting the wood on which she had just become acquainted with. Her small, beady eyes found themselves looking up as she propped her chin onto the floor. They examined her surroundings until something tugged at them within the closet. All the other items there hadn't caught her interest, even if they were more interesting. But the tiny little jewelry box concealed in the depths of the closet's left corner. It was just a normal little box that she would normally overlook. But something about this normal thing, amongst all the other very similar normal things, had a not-so-normal presence to it that screamed at Marla, begging her to pick it up. She sat up, a t-shirt falling off her head and landing onto the floor behind her. Marla then slapped her hands to the floor to slide her knees across it in order to get closer to the little box in the closet. She felt her fingers dance and twiddle at the sight. She picked it up and examined it. True, finding an old jewelry box in an orphan's boys' closet was a bit peculiar, but not completely strange, since the orphanage had been around for a long while and probably had unspoken history to it. But this box was something mysterious and felt very much alive. The box was made of some sort of dark wood, or rosewood, and had an elegant yet very unearthly design carved into it. The box looked in mint condition, almost new, but it smelt of ancient tales and wisdom beyond the ages. Marla wondered what stories this box held and what it had seen and had been present in. It was a book in disguise of a jewelry box. It had stories and an elaborate cover. But just like books, never judge it by the cover. Same thing goes for living beings. Everything on the outside of the box had greatly fascinated Marla and fed her curiosity, giving her more than 1,001 questions. But she knew the thing that made this little box so special was what was inside of it, and her question should be saved until her unsatisfied eyes could see the inside. Marla's little fingers had traced the lids of her discovery until it reached a little black latch, probably locking the box. She studied the imprint under the latch and felt something very familiar come to mind. Marla reached into her jeans pocket and pulled out a strangely shaped emerald that had an uncanny resemblance to a heart. She had always had this little treasure. Not quite sure when she first got it, just knowing she's had it as long as she could remember, and it was the only thing that she could actually say was hers, making her not want to share it with anyone. Marla compared the imprint with the emerald and noticed it was the same shape. With utmost certainty, she placed the emerald into the spot and heard the latch come undone.
This is it,
Marla thought, but not entirely certain what the it she expected was. Lifting the lid that was heavy with anticipation, Marla saw that there was no bottom in this box. It was like an endless hole. It seemed to be some sort of bottomless pit that might have been a gateway to some mysterious world not like her own here on Terra. Just to be sure it was really some hole and not just painted to look magical and miraculous, Marla stuck her hand into the box and found a sort of atmosphere coming from the bottomless pit. There was wind and a strange, intense feeling. Fearing that maybe something would pull her in, although she doesn't know why she'd fear that. Any world was more likely better for her than one on Terra, hopefully absent of humans as well. But then the pit would be endless, and she would be forever falling and die from starvation, all her muscles and bones breaking in from being weak, or, in a similar concept, if there was a bottom but a long drop, she'd meet with her demise with a splatter as she made great impact with the floor. Marla made sure to pull her hand away after confirming that this was some sort of portal. She had gotten a feeling that there was some other world waiting on the underside of this box. Some world that wanted her. It was more than a feeling. It was knowledge. She knew there was. Marla cautiously put her ear near the box, hearing what sounded like some sort of thriving city. The sound was very quiet, but she was quite certain it was really there. Marla turned the box toward her mouth. Her full lips twitched a bit, yearning to say something, until her frail voice managed to let out,
Hello?
Once more, Marla moved the hole near her ear to listen in. She heard her own voice echo until it became too quiet to even hear.
"Ew,"
said a boy named Johnny as he walked in. He lifted his freckled face in a superior manner, bringing his spiky raven hair into the air. He was slightly older than Marla.
"It's Marla."
A boy named Daniel, who was only 2 or so years younger than her, had come out from behind Johnny, giggling.
Hope she didn't touch any of my stuff. That'd be gross.
Marla looked up at the boys and let out a sort of sigh. She closed the beautiful box and placed it into the closet, exactly where it had previously been. Saying anything to the boys, truth or lie, would only end up in her getting harassed. If she had taken the box, the boys would have tried to take it from her, claiming it as theirs. Marla picked up the clothes she dropped on the floor and put them into the hamper that she had wheeled into the room. She let out another breath and soon headed toward the hallway, knowing she got all the laundry from it. Before Marla could exit from the door, Daniel, who had climbed halfway up his bunk bed, pulled his shirt over his small, thin torso and short blonde hair and threw it into her face. The boy laughed and remarked,
"You forgot something."
The comment got Johnny to burst out cackling, too, as he pointed a finger at her. The shirt fell into the hamper, revealing a rather indifferent look on her face. She wasn't frustrated by this, but actually glad that it was all he or Johnny did. Although she did think to herself,
It wasn't even that funny. Guess we should be grateful that kids are becoming less original these days.
Marla gripped the hamper's handles and pushed it out to continue with her tedious chore.